What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Back with another video. Today I'm going to be riding the beautiful M1000RR. But before we get going, let me tell you about the topic of today's video. It was good information for you guys last time when I did a review of the DJI OSMO ACTION 4. Some people enjoyed it. Some people were thankful that I shared, my setup and everything that I use. A lot of people are telling me that they love the new DJI OSMO 4 that I've been using. Some people also like the GoPro. So today we're gonna settle this, and by the end of the video, I'm gonna tell you guys which camera is better. We're gonna take them both out on rides. We're gonna ride the M1000 since it's been a minute since I took it out. I've been riding mainly, the H2R over here or the V4R. Got the OSMO ACTION 4, as you guys can see right here on this setup. And we got also the brand new GoPro Hero 12, both fully set up. I'm not gonna lie, I did use this a couple times, and you guys did. I'm gonna say it right away. You guys already complained about it because you guys said that like wide angle was distorted. I filmed using this new setup, and I did say that, replying to some of you guys in the comments in the Tessie H2 video versus my H2R video, and some of you guys did not like that. So things first, I want to show you guys the setups. Is my DJI OSMO ACTION 4. I'm actually gonna take off the ND filter, which is a very nice way DJI integrated this with the camera. Unfortunately for the GoPro Hero 12, you had to replace the whole lens, so this actually twists and pops off, and then you replace it with the ND filter lens. So this is definitely a lot easier because let's say I'm riding with the ND filter and then I decided to stay out later and it gets dark, which has definitely happened to me. You guys know that I'm already horrible in timing, so it's definitely happened to me, and all I have to do is pop this out, take it off, keep it in my pocket, and then all good to ride. And this camera has amazing night view. A lot of you guys have definitely noticed this and been commenting that like my night view videos are really great. That credit goes to the DJI OSMO ACTION 4. I barely do any sort of like editing or mess around with the camera to make it better for nighttime, but the OSMO ACTION 4 definitely does the work. So when I do like night rides, stuff like that, or even maybe sunset, usually this is the camera that I use. The OSMO ACTION 4 is actually a lot smaller. Also, another thing is that the DJI has this universal mic adapter where you can just pretty much get online from like Amazon, eBay, or whatever. I'll have the link down in the description below. You can get it for like $5 to $10, I believe. It's very, very cheap. Let's say the camera is $400, and then you have this adapter, which is like, $5-10. So that's pretty much your whole setup. That's all you need. Really love the magnetic plug right here. As you guys see, you just like lift off, push on it, and then that's it. And then put it back on, click it back on, and that's it. With this camera, bigger, bulkier, as you guys can see right here, put them right next to each other. Mainly also because of the media mod that you have to get. The issue here is that you have to get this media mod to motovlog, because as I told you guys, this adapter right here is what connects to my mic, and it's a universal adapter they can't get very cheap. GoPro though, audio jack is actually right here, just like that. You can see the audio jack right there, and this is where you connect your mic, and that's how you motovlog. Slight issue with this is that the media mod is not made necessarily for motovlogging or just to use it with a mic, but for motovlogging reasons, that's all I need it for. So buying an I think it's $70 or $80 for the media mod with a GoPro, and it's a bit overkill for motovlogging because it's bigger, bulkier, adds weight, and also a lot more expensive. Setup wise, I definitely prefer the DJI OSMO ACTION 4. It's just smaller, sleeker, and mainly, most importantly for me, is that it's easier to use. Like, we're gonna go on a ride, all the footage is gonna be filmed with this camera, of course, and then we're gonna swap cameras, and all the other footage is gonna be filmed with the new GoPro Hero 12. And then you guys can compare for yourselves which one do you think look better, and I'll talk a little bit more about them on the way back. To make this comparison a little bit more fair, I'm actually gonna take off the ND filter, which you guys are gonna see. Since I'm not using one on the GoPro, but I did mention that I do like this setup detachable ND filter better than having to replace the whole lens itself on the GoPro. Cold start on the M1000RR. Okay. We're good. Whew. That was weird. And also I was a bit too close. I forgot how this bike just pops. Oh, I miss riding this bike. It's such a nice smooth bike. The OSMO ACTION 4, and why do I use it? and the benefits of why I use it. I'm going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of this camera, and then on the way back I'm going to stop somewhere, swap cameras, and do the same thing and film with the other one. So you guys are going to be seeing both of them as I'm talking about each camera, which is kind of like the point of this review, is that you don't have to just trust me, but also you can actually see for yourself. So some same day, same helmet, riding the same bike. The DJI OSMO Action 4, this camera is awesome, especially as I've mentioned in the intro a little bit, is that the low light quality on it is insane. If I use any other camera at night, you just can't see nothing. It's pitch black. But when I'm using this camera, it's almost like you can see as if it's like my eye. Very, very impressive. So that's why, like, most of the time, as I've said, if I'm riding pretty late, then I use that. Another time when I'm using this camera is when I'm talking to you guys, and or just going on like a long ride where I'm not going to an event or anything like that. And in those videos, this camera does a lot better in isolating my voice and the bike too. Like, hear this. I feel like it does such a good job in making my voice clearer. When it's pure audio, I feel like this works flawlessly. Like if I go like freeway speeds or higher speeds, you guys still can hear me really well. With the other camera, there's too much wind noise that affects it. Both cameras have different colors. Like you're gonna see that this camera is a little bit more real. The GoPro has a little bit more color, but that's all preference. I'm not gonna talk too much about the color because some people prefer the more realistic colors. Others prefer the more saturated colors, which I believe the GoPro is a little bit more saturated and a little bit more colorful. Another thing I love about the DJI OSMO Action 4 is the entire interface. So anything DJI product, like even the OSMO Action 3 when I started using it, plugging into the computer and transferring files have never been so easy. I don't know why GoPro always has an issue with when I want to connect it to the app. I used to have the app on Mac and now they don't, and you have to kind of like do it in a different way and it glitches sometimes. It's pretty unreliable. This camera, I've never had an issue with it. It's always been reliable, never frozen on me, never done anything that it's not supposed to. So now we got all type of like footage for you guys. You know, we did a little bit faster. You heard the bike, you heard me talking. Now we're facing the sun as well. You can see that this camera does not lack quality or audio at all. Another big advantage is that you have a little bit more freedom. This one, I'm currently shooting in 2.7K. Do that because most of you guys are not even gonna like notice the difference, especially when I boost it up to 4K as I'm like exporting the video. It's gonna look pretty much like 4K. Nobody is ever gonna notice the difference. And this way, by shooting 2.7K instead of 4K, I end up using less battery life and less storage, so everything becomes easier and faster to use. Obviously you can't shoot 1080 these days. That's pretty much like useless, especially for moto vlogging, because when you're moto vlogging you're moving faster, so the image gets a bit more distorted. And also, I believe, if I'm not wrong, I'm using a wider angle currently. Let's see, I'm staying right here on this second yellow line, so I'm gonna start the video with a GoPro from the same place, and let's see if it's going to be like the same frame, because I want to see if it's wider, because I'm using currently the widest view possible on the DJI OSMO Action 4. But on the GoPro, when I use the hyper view, that's when you guys complained a lot, because I did see that it became more of a fisheye look and distorted with the hyper view. I switched it back to the super view. This one I have to shoot 4K. They do not allow me, if I shoot 2.7K, I have to be at 240 frames per second, and I can't use the super view or the hyper view. I have to be on wide, which does not work for me. And we're going to be doing 30 frames per second, because same thing, I'm trying to like not drain my battery as much, because when we ride, like stuff like this stuff can happen all the time. Sometimes I film multiple videos. Stand right here, remember this view, and now it's gonna, but yeah, there you go. Thank you, appreciate you. Have a good one. Nice guy. He's patrol, but he seemed very chill and he liked the M1000. Same spot that I'm standing in, I literally didn't, I took a step to turn off because I was trying to talk to him. I thought I'm gonna get kicked out, but luckily he was just a fan of the BMW and told me to not do donuts here. This is the GoPro. Same thing, let's start the bike. So so you guys can hear the difference between the two setups. Literally same helmet, same everything. This is the DJI right here in my pocket. This definitely feels a lot lighter, so that's definitely a benefit, especially when you're riding. I don't know if you guys can see it in the mirror, but it's a lot bulkier than the DJI OSMO. I want to talk about the one disadvantage of the DJI OSMO Action 4 that I've noticed, because not everything is perfect, of course. The one thing, it's a plus and a minus, because I did talk about the audio and I told you guys how it's isolated. The issue with that is that, like, let's say I go to like events and stuff like that, because it's so isolated and focused on me. I've noticed you guys while editing, and you guys have pointed out that like when I talk to people, it's very, very quiet. So definitely, like when I film with the DJI, especially if I'm going to events and stuff, that's why I still use my old GoPro setup. I actually, fun fact, I don't even use the GoPro Hero 12, and I'll get to that why. I use my old GoPro setup because I actually prefer it over the new one, because there's a very big issue with the new one. There's one issue with the DJI, and for me that is the audio. The audio is more isolated, so it doesn't give it like a very full and realistic audio. It's a little what do you call it, edited in a way, you know what I mean, like robotic in a sense. This has more like raw audio a little bit, but also at the same time, if I'm going fast or anything like that, this does not do a good job in isolating wind noise or anything. I did not expect this bike to take off this fast. Holy, I forgot how fast this M1000 is. But yeah, a little pull just like how we did with the DJI, so you guys can properly compare the audio when like I'm giving it gas and when I'm going a little bit faster. I definitely noticed that the DJI has better audio when you're going faster because it's isolated. But let's say I'm stopped and like I'm talking to people and stuff like that, the GoPro takes a cake with that because it's a little bit more natural and you can hear other people better. It's not super focused on my voice. I mean, I'm curious myself, because when I get back and like watch both of these back to back riding in the same area and everything, it's gonna be very interesting. Okay, that's definitely sirens this time. I'm shooting in 4K, so technically I'm shooting better quality. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys do think the quality is a little bit better or crispier. Both batteries are pretty decent. I think the DJI takes the cake. The first time I shot with the DJI, I actually was with the OSMO Action 3, not even the 4. The battery like blew my mind because I did shoot in 4K and I shot like for a very long time and the battery was still like good. So I was like very, very impressed with that. I think they definitely have the best batteries, and by me shooting 2.7K, it even makes the battery a lot better on top of that. So that's why like I struggle less with battery, because you guys know like I've always struggled with my battery dying and stuff like that. And for me, I'm willing to sacrifice a tad bit of quality that you guys will most likely not even notice to get more battery life and hopefully capture more important events. Both cameras have great image quality. Audio quality is preference. As I said, compatibility, ease of use, I definitely hands down give it to the DJI. So let me talk a little bit why I don't use this setup. I have a little issue with transporting files, and you can't even plug in the camera to the computer and just transfer your files. You have to do it manually by taking your micro SD card out of the entire setup. And to do that, you have to take your GoPro outside of the media mod because, you know, it's in the media mod. And to take the media mod, the GoPro outside of the media mod, I have to disconnect the entire thing. I have to disconnect the entire thing just so I can, and take the GoPro out of the media mod, all of that, just so I can get the SD card and manually transfer the files onto the computer. Especially because when you set up these, it's a very set angle, and sometimes people complain about the angle being too low or too high, and that's because I've had to do adjustments to the setup and mess with the angle. So that's the issue with that. And I was like, until they fix this, I'm not even gonna use this camera at all. And that's why I've been using mainly the DJI OSMO Action 4. And sometimes I use my actual old GoPro Hero 7 because with that one you can just plug it in and transfer the files. But obviously it's an old camera, so it doesn't compare to these new cameras. So there you guys have it. That was the review of these two. A much bigger setup, which is obviously going to be a disadvantage because of wind pushing in, also like the weight, which actually let's put them both on a scale and see what's the weight difference before we conclude the video. But for me, it's all about practicality. I've heard that like people preferred the image quality of the DJI OSMO Action 4, but also some of you guys said that you prefer the audio quality of the GoPros. So now that we've tried them back to back, let me know down in the comments below which one do you prefer better. For me personally, I'm going to be using the DJI just because I get more battery life, it's easier to use, and very importantly, it does not crash, freeze, or any of that stuff, because that's very important. I don't want to lose footage or get files corrupted, because I actually have a video that I filmed with this camera and the file was corrupted because I couldn't transfer it, and I lost that video on the M1000RR. I'm trying to figure out if I can save these files. Let me know down in the comments below if you know. But like as I click, like I transferred the files, and as I click on it, it says file like something. I forgot what it says exactly. I might put it on the screen for you guys, but yeah, I lost pretty much like that video and it just wouldn't open it or something like that, and I can't edit it. So that's a no-go for me. That's why I stopped using this camera after doing that one video and then tested again on the H2R. I was like, I'm done, because it's just too much of a hassle, and having to tear this entire setup apart just so I can get to the SD card, which is somewhere in there inside of the media mod and the GoPro, is just too much work, plus the unreliability of it. That's why it's not worth it for me. And plus I get extra battery life out of this thing as well. Plus it's smaller and feels lighter on the helmet, less strain on your neck and all. So before we conclude, you know, I'll weigh them both for you guys just to see which one actually weighs less. Obviously this feels a lot lighter for me. You can see the size difference right here. So here's the full setup of the DJI OSMO Action 4. 6.8. So same with the DJI. This is the full setup. 8.4. So 8.4, 6.8 right here. So about 1.5 ounces difference in weight between these two, as well as the difference in size. Definitely that's still something to consider. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. This is the first time I do a video with like two different setups and comparing them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this was very informative for you guys. The link description down below to get the DJI OSMO Action 4, since that's a camera that I chose and that I use since the GoPro Hero 12 has a few issues, and until these are resolved, I'm not going to be using it at all. So yeah, and since you guys also disliked it with the hyper view, so I hope this review was helpful. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, ride safe.